Now, because I'm always searching for that best app builder, for the very, very top of the line no-code app builder, I constantly stumble upon various tools that I get to evaluate and see if they're better than what I'm using right now. And so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 interesting app builders that you've probably never seen before. And I'm going to be showing you how they work. I'm going to be explaining you the flows. And I'm going to be talking as well about some of the limitations and hopefully some of the things that might be fixed in the future that will make them even better. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be giving you my personal opinion whether any of these app builders should replace the app builder that you're probably using right now. Now, the first several tools we're going to be talking about today are actually based on Flutter. They work with the Flutter framework in one way or another. So if you've been using a tool such as FlutterFlow, you're going to see some similarities with these tools, but still, these tools are very, very unique. Now, the first tool I want to talk about is called Flux Builder. They claim this is the ultimate approach for Flutter mobile apps. Here's the landing page. Flux Builder is a drag and drop tool which guides non-tech users in building their own mobile apps in just 3 simple steps: integrate, design, and publish. And so here you see some of the capabilities, some of the benefits, such as see your changes reflected in real time. Why should you choose Flux Builders? Flexible design, customization, design history, powerful integrations, cross-platform tool, customer support, etc., etc. And unlike some of the other tools we're going to be talking about today, this tool requires a download. So I went ahead and downloaded the app. Here it is. And once you run the app, you are going to be greeted with the screen. And so you can get started. We're going to create a new app. And like they said in the landing page, the way this works is that you need to integrate, design, and publish. So right away, you have this wizard and you need to pick your integration. So you need to select the website framework and provide the API key. So right away, this works kind of differently than most of the other no-code tools because it's based on something else. So maybe you want to connect it to like a WordPress site, or you want to connect it to a WooCommerce store, Shopify, Notion, etc., etc. So let's say you want to do WordPress. You can hit next. You can pick an app template here. You can choose and you can see how it gets displayed. Here we go. You can see your changes immediately. And obviously each of these app templates is slightly different. We kind of have a gallery here. We have a list view. Now we can also start with some of the featured apps just to take a look at the design and some of the capabilities of this tool. So let's say you pick a WordPress.org news app. I'm going to be at a screen where I can look at the stuff I'm doing. I can design it. I can change some of the parameters. So we have the design screen. We have the templates. So we can choose a template. We have the app bar here. We have a tab bar, right? So you can change the tab bar. You can disable it right there. You can enable it. You can always show the tab bar. You have a side menu, which kind of slides out. You can enable it, disable it, etc., etc. We also have various features. Now, this is interesting because if you look at integration, we have Firebase. You can import data. You have Flutter installer. You have all of these things. If you come to customization, you have your typical customization settings. And then you have the release, right? Push notifications, dynamic link, Firebase remote config, which FlutterFlow just released the features, functionality to support this. And so you have all of these nice integrations here. And so if we go back here, we have all the different pages. Remember, we have 5 pages here, as you can see. So you can come here. And you can customize how it looks, right? Do you want like a slide menu? You can have a slide menu, a column. You can do that. You can do a wish list as well. Here we have a wish list where you can see your items. And last but not least, we have the profile page. Okay, so you can click on something and you can open it up. You can modify it. And as I'm looking at this app, as I'm kind of browsing around the settings, This reminds me a lot of glideapps, okay? And glideapps is a very popular no-code app builder where essentially you give it a link to your database, whether it's Google Sheets or something else, and you kind of have the same capabilities. You kind of have the same type of layout. You know, for instance, if I come in here, I can change it to like a grid, I can do a column. So it's very, very similar. Obviously, glideapps has nothing to do with Flutter, but it's very, very similar design. And so once you finish with the design here, you can just come in here and you can integrate it with your website, activate license key, and do all of that. You can have your config for Firebase integration, etc., etc. So this is a completely different approach than using something like a regular no app builder, because here you're building an app that's going to be connected to something. It's going to be maybe connected to your Shopify store, maybe WooCommerce, maybe you know, your WordPress website, stuff like that. So that is assuming you already have something out there. You just want to have an app that people can download and consume your content using a mobile app instead of going on the website. Now, the next tool I want to talk about is called FlutterWiz, and this is also a tool that's kind of based on Flutter. It uses the Flutter framework under the hood, right? So it says here, a perfect starting point for your Flutter project. FlutterWiz is easy to use interface with Flutter drag and drop UI builder to quickly kickstart your project. Design modern, clean, and pixel perfect interfaces for your app. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to click this button, get an invite. Once you do that, you can specify your email, and then you're going to get an invite code, which you can use to create your account. So I already have that code. And so if you log in now with that code, you can create a new project. So let's go ahead and create a new project. On this create screen, we have a couple of options, right? We can do a blank app, a to-do app, a news app, or like some kind of a notes app. Okay, so I'm just gonna pick a to-do app just to show you how it looks. I'm just gonna call it app 1. We're gonna select it, and now we have this project here. So I'm gonna select it, and now we have our, you know, typical kind of UI environment, right? This design environment where you can do all kinds of interesting things. So on the left-hand side, we have the screen list, and this template that I'm using has a bunch of screens. So we have the login screen, register screen, dashboard screen, stuff like that. We also have the widgets, okay? So this is very, very similar to FlutterFlow, although it might have some widgets that FlutterFlow does not have, or it may be missing some widgets that FlutterFlow may have. So for instance, we have something called a rotated box. We have opacity setting. In fact, we have a ton of widgets, right? We also have lottie animation that FlutterFlow does have, rating bar, credit card view. So lots and lots of similar widgets. Next, we have the tree view, right? So this is our kind of tree view of this page, right? So if you want to take a look at the list view, and once you select a widget, you can come over to this side here, and you can kind of change the screen name, you can clone it, view source code, etc., etc. You can kind of design it. Next, we have, you know, the profile page. This is the user profile, meaning my profile. We have various tutorials. We have widgets info, different kind of widgets that you can use, facts, and project media for your app. Now, if you've been paying attention, there's a couple of things missing, like a database and some of the logic stuff that's missing. And that is because this tool is not designed to build a complete app. This tool is designed to be your starting point for a Flutter app, okay? So what's nice about this tool is that you can kind of look at different widgets, you can get an idea, and then you can download this project, and that's gonna be your starting point for another app or something else. And obviously you can design it, you can download this project, and you're gonna have a starting point for a Flutter app. But you can also, you know, design something, and that could be a custom widget for a FlutterFlow app. There's lots of things that you can do. One nice thing about using this tool is that you have access to various widgets that you might not have access in FlutterFlow. So you might be working, let's say, with some kind of a widget such as rotated box. You can use that inside of your app, and then instead of starting like a Flutter project, you can export it and use it as a starting point for a custom widget in FlutterFlow. And so even though this tool is mainly to be used as a starting point, there's some potential here. If they decide to implement the logic capabilities, if they decide to implement stuff like database, if they decide to include some of the other features, this could be a viable competitor to FlutterFlow in the future. So there's potential of going down that road as well. Now, the next tool I want to talk about is called Theta. And this is their landing page. Discover the real power of NoCode finally. We believe in NoCode for professionals, a NoCode built to do a great job, not templates, but custom designs. And so you can scroll down, design as fast as you can think, introducing tree view. Drag and drop works for website, not complex apps. Therefore, we built a new system to see all the nodes together, text and color styles, etc., etc. Unlimited possibilities, 100 widgets, 2 backend integrations, etc. So lots of interesting things. And actually, the way you build apps is very, very unique, as you're going to see in a second. Now, this tool is also built on top of Flutter, just like the previous tools we talked about, which makes it very, very interesting. I've just logged into my account and we are seeing kind of a familiar dashboard, right? You can create an app using a blank template, or you can start from an existing template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from an existing template just to show you kind of the methodology of how it works. So we're going to click on that. I'm going to assign it to my own organization here. I'm going to choose my app. And now I am logged into my app viewer, app designer screen. And so there's lots of things going on here. So let's talk about what's happening here. So on the left-hand side, we see the template. Okay, so if we click here, we see the pages and components. So this is the entry point. This is another create task, right? This is like a to-do app. And so we can create a task here. If we go back, we have the home page. Okay, and this is going to be a task list. Right here, so you see various tasks. Here we have colors and typography. Okay, so this is where you can kind of mess around with your theme, change how it looks, change the fonts. You also have assets, so you can upload assets that are needed for your app. Over here we have widgets. So these are your widgets that you should be fairly familiar with if you've been working with app builders such as FlutterFlow or other similar Flutter-based no-code builders. So we have a button, center, column, list view. We have CMS fetch, which are kind of data techniques. We scroll down, we have components, decorated box, sized box, etc., etc. So lots and lots of widgets. We have a checkbox, we have a text button, text field, login with Apple, tons and tons of widgets. If we keep going, we have authentication. So if we click here, we have our authentication screen. So we can set it up here. And so here you can create your credentials for Google, for GitHub, for Apple, etc., etc. Next, we have the CMS, and this is your data store, right? So we have our collection called task. And if we click on that, we have a new document. We can also import a spreadsheet file. And then we have various items. If you click on that, you're going to see the fields here and the values. So the name value pairs of the fields that are being used. Okay, so you also have, you can edit this collection, change the name, etc., etc. So if we go back to our app, what makes this tool different is this kind of tree screen that you see on the right hand side. And so if you go into pages and let's say you go to the home page, okay, this is where the tasks are going to be listed, and you click on something, you're going to have the corresponding column being selected. So all of this is one column, and this is the column right here. So the way to understand all of this is it all starts from this page. So if I click on that, I basically selected this page. It's kind of this inverse tree structure that you see in FlutterFlow. In FlutterFlow, it's typically from top to bottom, whereas here it's from left to right. And so we have the page scaffolding, which is that main page. We have an app bar here. We have the bottom bar, which in this case, we don't have anything. We have the main drawer, etc., etc. Next, we have the container. We also have the stack. And then we have the column, right? So this is this column right here that we're using, right? This is very similar with FlutterFlow, except that, you might be missing a couple of things. So for instance, it has something called a gesture detector, which is something you have in Flutter, but you do not have in FlutterFlow, because in FlutterFlow, it's abstracted away. You don't really need a gesture detector. It's automatic, done by the widget. And so I can select this column, for instance, and on the right-hand side, I have the node, I have the props, I have the visibility, I can control how it's visible, and I also have the action. So if something, if somebody tapped that column, I can create a new action, and I have various actions here that I can pick on long press, on double press. I also have something called props, which stand for properties, and these are the things that allow me to kind of control the widget, right? Very, very similar to FlutterFlow, right? We have visibility, stuff like that. And so as an example, here we have a widget called CMS Stream, which essentially gets our data in this case, right? So if I select it, I have this collection of tasks, which I specified here. You can also preview this app on various device types. So like a smartphone, tablet, desktop, you can share this app. You can play it, right? So if we click play, we can preview the app. And so we're seeing the screen. I can hit this and I can, enter a new task here, I can add this task. I also have this developer menu, so I can say view code, and I can see the code that was generated using this app, which is pretty much the exact same thing that you have with FlutterFlow as well. I can also download this code here as well. So it's a very, very interesting builder that's based on Flutter. It doesn't seem to have all the features of FlutterFlow, but they're still building. So perhaps in the near future, they'll be able to add new functionality, new features, and make it really, really powerful. Now, the next app builder has a ton of potential, and this app builder is called Locofy. And here we are on their landing page, and this is what they say: turn your designs into production-ready front-end code for mobile apps and web. Ship products 3 to 4 times faster with your existing design tools, tech stacks, and workflows. And so what makes this specific no-code builder interesting to me and got my attention is that it allows you to design stuff and then generate production-ready code in various frameworks. And so we have React, React Native. You can also do Gatsby, Next.js, HTML, CSS. And then coming soon, we can do Flutter, Vue, a bunch of other things as well. So let me go ahead and log in. And so here I am logged in. And a very simple way to show you how this works is that we can try with a sample project. Okay, so here's a sample project. We're going to say try. And once we pick a project, we are given a couple of options. Okay, we can start from the plugin and then continue on the builder, or we can start from the builder and then preview live prototypes. And so I'm going to choose starting from the plugin side. We're going to click on Get Figma File here. And it's going to go in and log into my Figma account. Figma, if you're not aware, is a great platform for designing various things, plus you have access to a great community with designs that you can use inside your project. So we're going to hit Get Copy. And so now that I made a copy of this file, I open it up inside Figma. I can go into Getting Started, and I can read the instructions of how exactly this process works. So the first thing I need to do is tagging. So it says here, we already pre-tagged 12 other layers for you. I need to tag 3 layers. I need to edit 1 property, add 1 action, and then I can just export code. And here I have various pages. And so it wants me to do a lot of tagging. And because I did most of the tagging before, we're going to go back into Locofy Builder, and I'm going to show you some of the results that I've gotten. And so here's one of my sample projects that I re-imported back into Locofy. And we have various pages here. So I can open this up, and I can take a look at this page inside of Locofy. And here it says, here's what you can do with the Locofy Builder: projects and collaboration, components and props, code view or export or deploy code, view prototypes, etc., etc. And so what we just did is we've taken this design from Figma, and as a result, it can go out and it can generate various code for us, right? So it's taken those pages from before and it went ahead and it generated React code for us, right? So here we have a bunch of React files. We have the CSS files as well. This is our hotels page. This is our other page. We have a results page. We have a home page. And it went ahead and created actual code for us in these frameworks, okay? And the next thing that I want to do once I've kind of checked everything over is I would typically export this code, add an API, add some kind of a database, and I will have an app ready. Now, this tool is very similar to one of the other tools that we already covered in this video, and that is because this is not a full-fledged tool where you can do everything. This is a tool to get you started. This is a tool to design something and then take over somewhere else. Now, having said that, I do see a lot of potential in tools such as this, these kind of hybrid tools, because they claim that in the future, they'll be able to generate Flutter code as well as some of the other code in different frameworks. And that means you'll be able to generate high quality, industry standard code in a lot of these frameworks that you couldn't have done it before. And so yes, you can generate, Flutter code with tools such as FlutterFlow and some of the other Flutter-based builders. But using a tool such as this, you can generate React code. You might even generate Svelte code. You might generate some of the other code. And these are really, really nice development environment. And so if this tool will eventually support it, it's going to have a lot of potential for sure. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about a tool called App Machine. And this is a very interesting tool because it allows you to build apps using something called blocks. And so here we have their landing page. They say stack blocks to build your app, connect your data, select the layout, pick your fields, and we can scroll down. Building apps is for everyone. You have lots of blocks, lots of kind of things that you can use. You can share the app, connect multiple data sources and tables, manage data with filters, and you can start with a template. So let's go ahead and log in into my account. We're going to click on create your next app here. And you have a lot of options. You can start with Google Sheets. You can start from scratch, business, tourism, school, event, business event, religious community. So let's go ahead and do start from scratch. Let's select that, creating your application. And we've been redirected to the screen. So it says here, build your app with blocks, select the block to change the screen, share your app with the world. So now if you go on the left-hand side, we have the content, we have data, so we can create a new table. We have web services, right? So we can add a web service, and here we can easily add an API web service. We have push messages, we have app users, we can publish, manage, etc. So let me show you how it works really quickly. If we go into content, what you're seeing is a blog interface to this app, right? So you're seeing guideline, contact, video. This is these pages here, right? So if I click on contact, it's gonna pop up this page. And once we've selected the page, we have the settings for this page right here. We have settings. We also have the design as well. And if I click on, let's say, home, I can do that. I'm going to see the home screen, okay? If I click on theme, I can modify the theme. And here I can add a new block. And you can kind of click around and preview how the app is going to behave. So if I click on this, this is kind of what the screen looks like. And I can click on design. I can customize my colors, etc. I can click on this, and I can kind of browse around. So if I can go to data, I can create a new table. And what's nice about it is that once I pick a table, I can do an app machine table. This is local storage, Google Sheets, Airtable, CSV, and Excel. So I'm noticing a lot of app builders, they have an Airtable connection, right? I noticed that with one of the other app builders before, and some of the older app builders, they don't have this functionality. So this is real nice. Google Sheets is really, really nice. So let's say we do like a basic local store. We're going to do blank. I'm just going to say table 1. We're going to say finish. And now we can kind of add the fields. Let's say field 1 here. We can save that. And we can also fill it in with data. And once you've set up your data, you can configure it to view this. Now, I did find this kind of block layout to be very, very intuitive, very interesting. There are other app builders that use blocks in various ways, such as thunkable or backendless. But this is really cool. And if you click on block, you also have advanced stuff. You can do a blank page, detail form. You can do lists. You can also do JavaScript if you want here. Lots of interesting things that you can do. This is a nice app builder. I like the fact that it has a lot of kind of data features, web services, push messages. I also like this block methodology. It's a very interesting methodology. There's lots and lots of things to cover here. And so this is a nice app builder for those that are looking to build simpler apps without a lot of bells and whistles, without needing to learn a lot of, complicated app building stuff. And so these are the 5 app builders that I wanted to share with you guys today. What really got my attention is that there are more and more app builders that are beginning to be built on top of Flutter. So it's not just FlutterFlow. There's a ton of other app builders that are also leveraging the Flutter framework. And the other thing that I really like is this emergence of app builders that allow you to kind of jumpstart a project, right? They can make it easier for you to kind of build the UI, to build that kind of skeleton, and then later on you can use another app builder or another tool to kind of take over and build something else. And that includes tools like FlutterWiz and tools like Locofy. Plus, we also have app builders such as App Machine that use the block methodology when it comes to designing the UI. And so there's lots and lots of app builders out there. Plus, the methodologies of how you actually go out and build an app are always changing. They're in constant flux. And that means that, if you know one way of building an app, there's going to be an app builder that's going to introduce you to a completely different way of building an app. So always got to keep your eye on some of these new tools, new technologies, and new ways of building no-code app. It's a truly exciting time of being able to build software without writing a single line of code. Now, if you're interested in taking your no-code knowledge to the next level, I would highly urge you to join my Patreon page. On my Patreon page, not only do I share with you all the apps, all the code of the apps that I build using different app builders such as FlutterFlow or Bravo Studio and some of the others as well. But I also include exclusive content for Patreon members. And this includes things like Q&A, live streams. Plus, I'm going to be having a private masterclass on a very, very important functionality in FlutterFlow that's going to be coming up very, very soon. So if you're interested in taking your no-code knowledge to the next level, I would highly urge you to join our community. We have a truly amazing community out there. Plus, it's a great way of supporting the channel and supporting my work. And so I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below which one of these app builders you like the most. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And also let me know in the comments below if you want to see a more detailed video concerning one of these app builders. I will definitely go out and make a more complete, more comprehensive video. And that is all for me. Hope you enjoyed this video, gotten value, and I will talk to you in the next one.